Welcome back, everybody, and happy Easter. I'm your host, Andre Sanchez, and this is Nexus Energy International's VA News Update. All right, guys, what an exciting week it has been. As you guys know, last week I said I was going to get my COVID shot on Tuesday, March 30th, which I most successfully did. The day was a pretty awesome day, even though there was a little bit of a hiccup, which we'll show you here in a second. But overall, the Veterans Health Administration, under the blanket of the VA, is doing an awesome job administering these COVID vaccines to veterans and soon to family members such as spouses and caregivers, particularly, not all family members, but spouses and their caregivers. As stated in last week's news update, that will be something that those individuals will be able to go to the VA and schedule and get those shots once they implement the process in order to do that. But anyway, so I went out on Tuesday. My lovely daughter came and helped me video the day. So why don't we check that out now? And hey guys, you can feel free to laugh. It's all good. So let's go ahead and get this video clip started and see just how the day went getting my COVID shot. Get this COVID shot going on today. Oh, nice and sunny. Hopefully we find a park in here, see what this veterans experience is like. Loma Linda Healthcare System. Got the buses running. Ain't been here in a minute because I used the clinic. Let's see what we got here. This looks pretty juice still, so hopefully we can get a spot. It's looking pretty bad right now. They did do a better job with the parking lot, so hopefully that isn't an issue. Touchdown. All right, here we go. First dose. Right here. Oh, first dose is right here? Right here. Oh, okay. All right, so here's the deal. Had my appointment. Don't look at that, I almost tripped. I had my appointment. I called yesterday, the VA clinic in which I normally go to. They told me it was at the hospital. I show up at the hospital. They tell me it's at some new building. Even on the text, they don't even tell you that it's another building. This is all new. So when you get your COVID shot from the VA, you should call a couple of different places to triangulate the actual place, because I did call yesterday, got here on time, thought it was at the spot, and they tell me it's a building 8 minutes away here. So whatever state you live in, or VA clinic that you go to, or hospital system in the VA, make sure that you're calling ahead and make sure you make maybe 2 calls, make sure for sure where the building's at. But the cool thing is, it was no problem. She got in the chat on the system they have, and they know I'm coming, even though I'm gonna be late for my own appointment. But as you can see, we checked in with this, and so we are legit somehow, some way. All right, we're at the second facility, which is a clinic, but it looks more like a hospital. So this is VA Loma Linda's Ambulatory Care Center. They do a lot of stuff with prosthetics and orthopedics. So let's get in here and get this shot. So, gotta fill this out to be legit. Now that we're in the right spot, now we're just waiting to get jabbed in the arm with some type of metal device. It's all good. They've been very friendly so far. It's not packed at all here. So, so far so good, guys. So far so good. I'll let you guys know if I'm pulled out on the stretcher. All right, so COVID shot has been administered, and got this COVID card. Hopefully, by the time you guys are watching this video, I'm still alive. No, I'm just kidding. So it wasn't too bad. VA staff was super friendly.
They even offered a snack. Probably felt bad for me. And you get your shot. They give you a timer. You wait for 15 minutes for observation, and they basically tell you to um, monitor yourself. No strenuous activities for the next 2 days. No running, lifting, all that good stuff. So there it is, folks. COVID shot is received. Hopefully, by the time you're watching this broadcast, it's all good, and we keep it moving like we normally do.
All right, that was truly a pretty awesome day there. Going to get my COVID shot again. The day pretty much went without, a hitch, and the VA staff super friendly. Again, small snafu to where I had called the VA clinic in which I usually go to in order to get my COVID shot. They said it wasn't there. They were booked out to April, so it was clearly at the hospital system on the first floor. And as I showed up, it was at the hospital system on the first floor, just not my vaccine. My vaccine was actually at a different location, as you saw, but it was super seamless in how the VA staff member said it was no problem. She definitely de-escalated the situation if it was going to escalate, which it most certainly did. Not because I realized going to the VA, you must have patience, and that's for everybody. Just recognize when you go to the VA, they're doing the best they can with the resources that they have to give veterans great service. So just be a little bit patient. Make sure that you take some of the advice I said, make several phone calls, triangulate that position to get that COVID shot, and you'll be just fine. So I'm glad we were able to cover that. Now moving on to the actual VA news update here. There has not been a whole lot of activity this week in terms of updates, but there are two significant ones, which we will go ahead and talk about. So the first one is most certainly going to be that the VA has essentially began funding at $174 million price tag some more research for organizations that actually work with veterans that have a higher risk of suicide. The actual program is the Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Program with the VA, and it's in honor of him, and that's what the program is named. And now they're essentially reaching out to the community. They want to get some questions answered via, Survey Monkeys, and asking targeted questions regarding what the community is seeing out there in terms of suicide, and how we can bolster a suicide prevention program under that isolated program, which is the Parker Gordon Fox Suicide Prevention Program. That's important because we don't always have veterans that report themselves to the VA, or a caregiver that's reporting them to the VA when they're having significant mental health issues. As many of you know, I do have post-traumatic stress disorder via my combat experience in Iraq. And so I can tell you, it's always there is a gray area. It's always not black and white in terms of how you identify veterans that are having certain issues. So the more information that we can saturate our community organizations with that see veterans that potentially have these issues is going to be much better. So stay tuned for future updates. The VA does state that they will be doing two different listening type of broadcast, or some type of media interface, and where the public can also tune in and see exactly what's going on. And I will do my best to keep you guys abreast of that situation. And let's go ahead and move on to the next story. The next story, which is the other significant portion of the VA news this past week, is the fact that the NARA, or the National Archives and Records Administration, will be administering COVID shots and figuring out how to vaccinate their employees that have not had a chance to be vaccinated, especially because they were working on a COVID schedule, which means limited personnel were at the facility. Now, why is that important to us veterans? It's very important because those folks filing new claims or trying to substantiate something of the claims that they have filed or are going to file, they need evidence. And a lot of the evidence comes from personnel records and obviously STRs, or service treatment records, that we actually got as a result of our service. Now, once you hung up that hat did your final salute to whatever branch of service that you were in, your records were actually sent to St. Louis at a facility that is the NARA's facility for veterans records. Now, why this is important, once people file new claims, the VA does have a duty to assist, and they will absolutely reach out to NARA in St. Louis to get those medical records that have been stored there so they can start validating and adjudicating the claims that veterans are put in. At this point, because of COVID and the close down, there are somewhat around 25,000 requests for personnel and service treatment records that are on hold right now because the National Archives and Records Administration does not have the manpower in order to process those requests. By getting the COVID vaccinations and bolstering the workforce there, focusing back on the human capital so they can get in there and actually fulfill the request is going to be a huge thing so that we can not have any type of bottleneck in the process of filing claims. Another important thing to remember is we always have to be innovative of how we get our evidence to substantiate our claims, even though the VA does have a duty to assist and will be requesting those medical records on your behalf once you file a claim or a claim for increase, anything where they need to get that information in order to substantiate the claim or at least rule out any evidence that you're saying that's in there. That is going to be a much better, smooth process once they are actually able to get those records in a smooth process so that it doesn't delay your claim, because it's already a long enough process as it is when you file a claim, as we already know. Again, the VA, the NARA, and all of our agencies are doing their best in order to take care of us, even though sometimes it seems like they are not, and that's just simply because of supply and demand, right? We all know it. The demand is very high for us to have these services, and everyone is watching the VA with the microscope, so any little thing that they do is always critiqued or criticized. And so as I am a user of the VA system and an advocate of the VA system and an advocate of veterans learning all of this bureaucratic processes, I would just say thank you to them. Continue to do what you guys are doing at the government level. At our level, let's get involved in conversation, and any lobbying that can take place, we need to get very involved with that. Having said that, folks, that's pretty much wraps up the VA news updates. Again, it is our duty not only to let the VA do their process to get our records, but it's also our responsibility to try to get all of our evidence as well. So don't forget about your lay statements, buddy statements, any other documentation that you can get your hands on when you're filing your claim. Later on during these segments, we will talk a little bit about strategy, but that's why NEI also hosts strategy sessions in which veterans can sign up for and get actual strategic answers to questions they have regarding their own claims so that they are able to go and have the skill set that they need to in order to submit their claim and follow the process and understand everything that's happening with it. With that being said, once again, I'm your host, Andre Sanchez. I always thank you guys for tuning in and spending your time with me for however long I'm talking your ears off. I promise you I'm trying to make these information sessions as most value added for you all, and so that we can stimulate a conversation and perhaps you guys will be teaching me something. It's a reciprocal two-way street. From the NEI News Desk, once again, happy Easter. Today is April 4th, 2021, and we'll be back next Sunday with the next VA News Update. Until then, take care, be kind to one another, and have a great week.